Hello, today we're going to be making this extra special celebration cake. It's a chocolate cake. I'm going to be making it as a bundt cake. We're going to need 3 cups of flour, 2 cups of sugar, half a cup of cocoa, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt, 2/3 cup of vegetable oil, 2 teaspoons of vinegar, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 2 cups of cold water, and 1 tub of frosting, but I'm actually going to be making my own frosting too. So first thing we have to do is heat the oven to 350 degrees and grease our pans. I've already went ahead and sprayed down a bundt pan. Next, we're going to mix our flour, sugar, cocoa, and baking soda and sugar and salt together in a pan. So first I'm going to measure out 3 cups of my flour. I'm going to use Krusteaz gluten-free flour until I run out of flour, and then I'll use Bob's gluten-free flour. This bag is kind of hard to open. There we go. So how I'm measuring this flour isn't exactly correct. Usually you'd spoon it into the bag. You'd spoon it into the measuring cup. This is my 1 cup measuring cup. And then you level it off. I'm just going to dip it in the container. There we go, 3 cups of flour. Now I'm all out of Krusteaz flour, but that's okay because I only needed 3 cups. Now I need 2 cups of sugar. There's my sugar container. The measuring cup won't actually fit in there, so I'm going to be using 4 half cups. One more. There we go. Next on the ingredients list, we're going to be adding our cocoa powder. We're going to need a half cup of our cocoa powder. Then we're going to need 2 teaspoons of baking soda. And then we're going to need to add some salt. We have to add 1 teaspoon of salt. What I usually like to do for salt is sometimes it gets trapped under this lip, so I just open it like this, and the salt falls out from the inside of the lip. But that doesn't look like it's enough, so I'm going to add a little bit more. Not that much. That looks good. Okay. So I have 2 different kinds of whisks. I have this is called a ball whisk, and then I have a standard whisk. I'm just going to use the standard whisk for this. Sometimes you would sift your dry ingredients together, but I don't feel that's necessary right now. I'm also surprised there's no eggs in this recipe. Okay. Now in a separate bowl, we're going to mix our oil, vinegar, and vanilla. So let me set this bowl aside. Here's our new mixing bowl. It's a little bit smaller. So we're going to need 2/3 cup of vegetable oil. I have my 1/3 cup here. I'll fill it up twice. 1, 2. And now I need to pour in 2 teaspoons of white vinegar. I'm actually going to use apple cider vinegar because I think it's better. Here's my apple cider vinegar. That's 2 teaspoons of that. I love the smell of apple cider vinegar. And then vanilla, we're going to need 1 teaspoon of what I have is imitation vanilla. Real vanilla is kind of expensive. I'm just cooking for myself. There's that. Now we're going to mix this together. And what we need next is to add to this 2 cups of cold water. So from my favorite mug, which I filled up with water from the fridge. It says, do not worry, be happy. I'm going to pour that into a measuring cup, hopefully 2 times. 1 cup of cold water. 2 cups of cold water, that looks good. I'm going to mix that together again. Kind of feels like I'm making a salad dressing at this point. And now what we're going to do is pour our 2 mixtures together. We're going to pour the wet mixture into the dry mixture and whisk it together. I'm going to use my regular whisk for this. It's a very heavy cake batter. It says we're supposed to whisk it for about a minute. So I have preheated my oven to 350 degrees. As soon as this is done mixing, we're going to pour this directly into the pan, the bundt cake pan, which I have set aside. You know what I think would make this cake a little extra special is if we add in chocolate chips. They're not in the recipe, but I think it would go well. Now my chocolate chips are extra special, so I keep them in this jar. These are miniature chocolate chips from Nestle. How much chocolate chip should we add? Tell me when. Let them know. Okay. No, all of them? Alright, that's the rest of my chocolate chips. I'll have to refill my chocolate chip jar later. And I'm going to get a silicone spatula to help me scrape this especially quick. So I'm going to set my batter just to the side real quick. Here is my bundt cake pan. We're going to pour the batter into the pan. Try to rotate the pan a little bit. Alright, there we go. Let's clean it up just a little bit. And now I'm going to take this and put it directly into the oven. I'm going to bake it at 350 degrees. In the meantime, I will teach you how to make a chocolate buttercream frosting. I think for a full cake we'll need about 2 cups of frosting. So I would use about 4 tablespoons of butter as your base. I'm going to put 4 tablespoons of butter in here. 4 tablespoons of butter is half a stick or a fourth of a cup of butter, which I have half sticks individually wrapped. And I'm going to put it in here, and then I'm going to put this in the microwave. Okay, now that we have about 4 tablespoons of melted butter, I'm going to whisk it to get the clumps out. What I like most about this whisk is the ball whisk. It makes some pretty good sounds. And then I'm going to add about 1/3 of a cup of cocoa powder, maybe a little less. Yeah. And I'm going to whisk that together. It looks very good right now, but this is not the final product. Now for the next part, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be balancing powdered sugar with a liquid. I'm going to use oat milk. This oat milk is also gluten-free. It's called Planet Oat. So first I'm going to add about a cup of powdered sugar to this mixture. And I'm going to whisk that in. And then once that's clumpy, I'm going to add a few tablespoons of oat milk. A little goes a long way when it comes to liquids because you're just melting the sugar. It looks a little clumpy right now, but that'll even out. We're going to add a lot more sugar, probably another cup. Let's add a half cup at a time. That's a quarter of a cup. It's another half cup. When you're making a chocolate buttercream frosting, you don't have to be exact. And what I like about using cocoa powder is that it makes it a little more bitter to counteract all the sugar that you're putting in. But if you wanted to make it a sweeter mixture, you could maybe use hot cocoa mix instead. Sorry. Now we're going to add another half cup. Mixing. It's a little thick, so I put in just a little bit of almond milk. What I like about using melted butter as opposed to softened butter is that you can make the consistency a little more runnier, and it'll set up and get harder as it goes to room temperature. Even if you refrigerate it, it'll get firm. And there we have it. A chocolate buttercream frosting. It's that easy. Let's taste it. Delicious.